And good morning, everybody. And let me extend my personal welcome to the SuperAI conference to all of you. And a thank you to the organizers of the event for the invitation. It's truly an honor to be here with you today. As a CTO of Microsoft Asia, I have the privilege of waking up every day and working with companies, individuals, governments, in adopting, deploying, and finding the value of generative AI. So I'm going to use those experiences now and share with you over the next 20 minutes the AI landscape here in this region, part of the world. And when I say AI landscape, I'm talking about usage and adoption. All right, I will share with you being an engineering company that builds a platform for AI, a little bit about the evolution of the technology itself. And I'll finish today with some tips, some best practices from these deployments that'll plant a seed in your minds for the next 2 days so you can go learn more about these recommendations. Okay, so let's start with the landscape itself, and specifically usage and adoption. I want you to stop for a second, turn the clock back 12 months. Ask yourself this question. Where was your knowledge and usage of generative AI? I suspect most of us were familiar with ChatGPT. By that time, it was already a phenomenon, even though it was only a few months old. And you are either a user, or maybe your kids were using it. But when it comes to building against the API, against a large language model, well, very few of us, with a few exceptions, were building solutions about a year ago. That's just a year ago, 12 months. Now let's dial it back. One more year before that, even 6 months before that, ask yourself the same question. Yeah, we knew what AI was. Those PhD smart data scientists, they were writing machine learning algorithms. Maybe we did some cognitive services development, or maybe even a little virtual reality. But generative AI, the natural language, was pretty much, for most of us, non-existent. That's 18 months to 2 years. This technology wave is by far the fastest in history. If I go back to even the 90s, client server, that's the mainframe to distributed computing. And some of you are too young to, you're probably saying, what's a mainframe? Ask AI. It'll probably show a picture of me mounting tape someplace. But that technology moved much, much slower. Then we moved forward to the mid-90s, late 90s, and here's the internet, where the browser became the face of the world. And that moved at a 10x speed than prior technology wave. Then the cloud adoption came 5, 6 years later. Again, the same type of thing, faster adoption. And then the phone. Now, we like to think of the phone came rapidly because of the iPhone, but the mobile phone was available years before the iPhone. Again, but still 10x faster than the previous technology wave. And right now, the adoption, of whether you're an individual user for productivity or personal use, whether you're part of a team, maybe you just had a video meeting, Teams meeting. Before the meeting gets done, you have a complete summary of the meeting and action items done for you already. Or you're part of a usage of an industry like a call center, all right, or maybe a risk management if you're in insurance. This technology wave is 100x faster than any other technology wave with respect to adoption in the history of computing. But it's not only the usage and adoption, it's a technology itself moving at the same speed. I'm just going to take GPT. We all are familiar with GPT. If I go back 18 months, GPT is 12 times, 1,200% cheaper than it was just 18 months ago. It is 600% faster than it was just 18 months ago. So the question for yourself, question for your peers when you get back to work, is if you haven't jumped on the train yet, when is the right time? With no other technology in history moving this fast, All right? I'll let you answer that question, but I assume the answer is going to be sooner rather than later, and the fact that you're here means you're probably already on that train. Okay, so let's talk about how it's being transformed and utilized in the business world. Starts with individual productivity. Whether you're a developer and you're using a code generator, maybe like GitHub Copilot, writing code for you automatically, documenting code for you automatically, or you're using productivity tools, having AI create a draft document for you in seconds that usually takes you hours to do. Or my favorite, every single morning I wake up and I ask my AI assistant, I have a prompt at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I say, please help me prepare for my meetings today. That's it. And this is what happens. My AI assistant looks at my calendar. Well, that's obvious. Looks at my meetings. Looks inside my meetings for content. Looks at who's in every single meeting. And then it goes to work. It turns around and gets the content. It looks at the people in the meeting and compares me, with permission, policy granted, with me and the people in that meeting, our co-chats, looks at our content that we collaborated on. It looks at our messages in Outlook that we've both been involved with, gives me the latest status, gives me any open action items, and provides content to me for every meeting in seconds. My assistant and my chief of staff are the best in the world, but it would take them hours to do that. All right? Individual productivity. And let's move to customer engagement. The experience of customers, your customers, is changing for the good. Can you imagine that if you're in sales and you're going to go meet your customer, to have AI help you prepare to make sure that you provide a good experience for your customer? You're following up on all the action items. You understand the latest status of any issue. Or better yet, the whole contact experience where they're contacting you, you can mitigate and detect problems and solve them quickly. Individual customer engagement is a very big use of AI today in industry, specifically here in Asia. Or you might be part of a business process that's changing. Again, let's just go to contact management. I know when you all make that call, all right, you want better response, you want better support. In Microsoft, we took our AI and we embedded it into our contact center, and we saved over $500 million because of reduction in time to detect and mitigate problems. Information quickly, the handover, now all the information there. Where we used to go to 6 different screens, all the information is consolidated down in one. Changing business processes. And it's even used today to bend the curve and find new opportunities. A good example of that is you're in a spreadsheet, and there's lots of numbers, and you might be a number person, and you understand it. But let AI find patterns, search for patterns that you may not have found, and give it to you as a subject matter expert. And yes, you still need a subject matter expert, even with AI. That's why we call it Copilot and not autopilot. All right? And then you can use this to potentially create new opportunities for you and your business. But it's more than just the professional business world. AI is being used for the good everywhere, especially here in Asia. And if I look at India and fueling the farmers of the future, right? In India, there's a large country, and there's remote farmers speaking 21 different languages. And now they can actually take a picture of the crops they use to feed their families and actually feed it into an AI in their language and get back recommendations on better way of harvesting their own crops. Or if I look in places like Vietnam where children are learning new languages, all right, they can learn it now twice as fast and speak significantly better because AI translation is a safe place for them to learn versus they might be shy in a classroom to speak up. All right, so they are actually learning faster and better languages. Or teachers everywhere are creating curriculums in hours versus days and weeks. Even here in Singapore, the government, for the citizens of the country, providing content, easy access to information that was hard to discover or even interpret before, making it easy for the people of the country. And that's just the beginning. All right, so those are some usage scenarios. So let's talk a little bit about the actual technology evolution itself. Let's take a little history, go back, and we look at November 2022, about 18 months or so ago. There it was, natural language, chatting with a search, ChatGPT, changed everything. The idea that I can actually chat, it doesn't bring back links like a search does today. It looks inside those links and brings back the analysis, and then you can ask more questions about it. Completely the beginning that changed everything. And we move forward, but just over a year, now it's no longer text, but it's images. I can actually take an image, look at the image. In this case, you can see flour and eggs, and ask questions of the image. Interpret that image and say, in this case, show me recipes that I can make, all right, from this image. And actually, you can search into videos as well, just in a short period of time. Now, this is truly amazing. That same application of an image now can be run on a form factor on a phone. This is advancement in technology that we've never seen before. And when it comes to models, how many models were you familiar with, LLMs were you familiar with a year ago? One? Maybe a few? Today, thousands of models. Obviously, the large ones you're familiar with, like GPT, which has an encyclopedia of the world indexed, all the way to smaller ones, language-specific, domain-specific, industry-specific models, all being created today in advance. And let me just give you one example. GPT-4 to 4.0. In a few months, twice as fast, half the cost in just a few months. Not only that, there used to be a model for text and a model for images and video. Now they're combined into the same model. Improved language support, improved quality and safety, responsibility AI built in by default, all in a few months. Technology is moving rapidly fast. And the example of the smaller language models and a high quality exists today. 5.3 is 128K running on your phone with high quality. That's quite the advancement in technology. Okay, now let me leave you with a few what I call best practices or learnings from some of the deployments that we've been working on for the last 12 to 18 months. The top of this slide, the three boxes at the top of this slide, consider them design options. I'm talking about building an AI solution, all right? I'm not talking about AI built into an app that I'm using an app like M365. I'm talking about we want to go build something. And based off these building, yes, good, take a picture because you want to remember these things when you're attending the next couple of days. The first thing you think about that, this is not about typing in a prompt and getting a response. All right? It's much more than that, and you need to skill yourself up, and that's why you're here. All right? So it starts with, I got to choose a model or models. And it's not as simple. I mean, you could pick a popular model like GPT-4 and use that, or you could use a custom model, language-specific, domain-specific, or you could use a combination of models. This is the first choice you got to make, all right? And it's already somewhat lots of choices for yourself. In a multi-model example, you may decide that, because one of the best tips you can walk away with, your data, which is not being used to train models, into a model is the key to success. All right? Quality data set up into a model is the key to success, and you have to remember that. So you could take your data, okay, and you can put it into a model, and you have multiple choices. Many of you know this already. You have retrieval augmented generation, where you can just put it all into a prompt and feed it, okay? Or you can fine-tune it, take your data, retrain the index of the model, all right, in order to have the model already understand your data. And you have to make that decision as well. And each one has different costs to it. To fine-tune it costs you a lot of money up front. To RAG, to put the data in, doesn't cost a lot of money up front, but that much data requires a lot of tokens. Tokens equals cost, so individual transactions are less expensive. And sometimes a lot of data can confuse a model as well. So you're going to have to make decisions like that. And for example, I have a customer here in Asia that does 170 million prompts every day, the same prompt. All right? Well, in that case, it might make sense to fine-tune, pay a cost up front, so every prompt is cheaper, versus another customer may be doing a month-end report, so I only do it once. Well, I don't need to fine-tune. I can pay the cost of tokens for that one query. That's just one example. So pick a model. Make sure you understand how you're going to prompt engineer against that model. Now, the 5, horizontal boxes below that. Those are highly recommended. I used the word mandatory at first, but I switched it to highly recommended. All right? Let's start with optimization. All right? You want to optimize right from the get-go. All right? What is optimization? That means performance and cost. Matter of fact, if you want to go to LinkedIn, I did a couple podcasts on cost optimization. You can look at that. Or I'm sure you'll learn a lot here in this conference as well. But you don't want to wait till later, do something that works, and then here comes the bill, and it's very high, and then you have to go back and do optimization. Build it in right away, whether it's caching or chaining, all right, or just efficient prompt engineering, optimization right up front. Skilling, you're here, I don't have to tell you, you're investing in yourself, and you want to continue that. In order to understand things like caching and prompt engineering, you have to skill yourself, you have to skill your teams. So invest in skilling, it's critical to success. And what a lot of customers have done, they've done an AI Center of Excellence, kind of a committee, not a governing, look over you committee, as much as for the good. You want to make sure that your AI solution is secure. You want to make sure your AI solution follows responsible AI practices. Sign up for the code of conduct. Make sure that AI can be used for good. Technology is so much good here with generative AI. I showed you a couple of examples, but that means the bad could use it as well. And we are obligated. Microsoft has signed up code of conduct, getting governments to sign up across the world for a code of conduct responsible for AI, but it's each and every one of our jobs. So here's a few tips to walk away with as you go through the next couple of days. Okay, so where do you go from here? How do you leave and be successful? Well, it starts with you, each individual. All right, you have to, each individual. Say your company got a productivity set of tools for AI. M365 Copilot is the one that I'm most familiar with. And you get it and you're a user. You know what many users do? They use it for a week or two and they stop using it instead of investing in learning. I gave you the example of the AI assistant. You can ask questions about summarize today's news for me. You can do so much, but it takes yourself to learn and use it, find productivity, teach others. So lead by example. All right? It's a cultural change. It takes from the top down, sending the message that we are going to use AI for good, increase productivity of the company, and help our customers. So culture change as well. And of course, if there's one thing to walk away with, make sure you walk away with data. Data, your data in the model creates the best quality solutions. So I finished by saying this. As a company, I'm very proud that we built a platform. All right? We make the platform, but it's all of you that really make it matter. Thank you. It's been an honor.